Hi, everyone, and happy whenever you're watching this. If you're watching it live, it's January 8th. And Rick Deezel and I just had a kind of well, it was Rick Deezel's idea to come on here. But actually, we found out after we wrapped the show last night that the AIWF's actual date of the first show was January 4th, 1992.
Yeah,
So,
that had been a mystery. Honestly, I mean, how do you forget something like that? But when it's been 30 plus years, you know
yeah,
what
so
I'm saying?
so it was actually last Thursday was the AIWF's birthday. The AIWF is 32 years old now.
Yes.
And so longest running independent that I've ever heard of.
I
I
can't
mean,
think of anything that's lasted longer on the independence. I mean, there's been a lot around for 20 plus years, but I don't know of any that's lasted as long as we have. The AIWF literally has outlasted Smoky Mountain Wrestling, ECW, Turner's WCW.
mhm.
So
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's still going on. So we came on here to celebrate the birthday because we're not having the anniversary show until March 4th, the March 4th and 5th, the 3rd and 4th,
second and third.
second
I
and
guess
third.
second, third. Yeah, because and we used to have it in January, but we it always been determined that we had the anniversary show in Mount Airy where it all began.
Mhm.
Um, and having it in January, it's cold, and so we decided to move it to March, where it's a little better. And it's actually helped the guys because they ain't got to worry about coming in and going through snow quite as bad, and they get snowed out or less likely of it getting canceled for weather. And so we and people having to make a long trip. So it just made sense to move it to, and we use it now to kick off the Mid Atlantic seasons.
Mhm.
Because this year the anniversary show is the 1st of March, and then I think 2 or 3 weeks later is the season premiere of season 32 of AIWF Mid Atlantic Wrestling. Because the first few seasons of it was Mid Atlantic was actually AIWF, and then when we went into the affiliate program, we took up the name AIWF Mid Atlantic. So technically, everything back to the beginning is Mid Atlantic. It's just you
Yeah,
know
birthplace of the AIWF. It's just a
right.
so the affiliate program was an interesting time. That started when? Early 2000s, I want to say.
Early 2000s. I can't remember. It's like 2000, 2001. Uh, Myself and AC
Mhm.
started it actually. AC's to this day still the longest running world heavyweight champion because he was
Mhm.
the first and he was the first and third, I believe.
Mhm.
But he had the longest continuous run as a champion, because when we first started, we didn't have a lot of affiliates. So then, you know what I'm saying? So he traveled, but the belt didn't get around as much as it did now. But he actually held the belt for, I think he said that if you broke it down into days, it was like 1,250 days.
Wow, that's
Something like
incredible.
it. Yeah.
That's like
So
pushing 4 years, something like that. Close to
yeah,
it.
it was a long time he was champion. So
Incredible. We've seen a lot of things change over the years, but a lot of things have stayed the same. Technology changing has helped us out a whole lot. We don't have to go do TV. We just sit at home and do it on Zoom here and broadcast it to the world. That's really been great. The advent of high quality cell phones has made videoing a lot easier, I think. I
yeah,
don't know.
and it's so weird because when we started the AIWF, there was no internet.
No, no. Well, it existed, but only college
Not for
kids.
us.
Yeah, only college kids used it. It wasn't available to the public.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and we have literally been around since the dawn of the internet all the way up to where technology has us today. And we've been there for, other than WWE, literally, other than WWE, I think we're the only company that can say that.
Yeah, it's
I don't
crazy.
know. There might be some. Now, I take it back. There's one. I know there's one in Tennessee that's been around almost as long as we have.
Yeah.
So they're out there above Nashville because they used to be an affiliate at one time. Um, but there's so few companies. Let me just, I guess, to put it in better perspective, you probably could not count on one hand the companies who can say they've been around from before the internet all the way up to the technology we have now. We have been there for every stage of it. Back when I remember when we first started, we got our first website, and I'd sit in a little corner of the house and dial up. You know what I'm saying? And I'd start, and then we got to where we could upload videos. So I'd start uploading a video the night before and get up the next morning, it'd be done.
Yeah,
And
those days when it took all night to download a song to a disc, and you had to use an old floppy disk,
no, man, it was just unbelievable. But I'm so glad that we stayed, that we stayed around. And I'm actually sharing this thing so a couple people can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we got 4 watching right now. So.
Well, welcome. I'm sure a lot of people watch that because this was a surprise thing. We weren't able to advertise. We're going to do it. It's not on a normal night. Mm-hmm. Matt's had some time. I had some time, and I suggested doing this to him. But the thing about the AIWF is, like I said, last Thursday, we celebrated 32 years in business, which basically is just over half my lifetime.
Yeah,
I've been running the AIWF, and what I think so amazing about it, Matt, that makes us so different than so many other companies. One is our longevity, but another thing is we done it all without what they call a money mark. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And we done it without having to put a name or feeling like we had to have a name on every show. We done it for 3 decades now. We've stayed in business by having the most loyal, dedicated, talented people in the ring, out of the ring, backstage, behind the scenes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Commentary. You and Dr. Bill were freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. Running music, and now with video and stuff like that. But we've always had so many people that were so talented and so good and so creative, and that we were able to do it without, like I said, bringing in names or having to beg some money mark to come in and just basically own everything. Mm-hmm. And the creativity that was there 25 years ago is still there now with people that we have backstage that's here now and was there in the 90s. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And there's so few people that can say that. But that's what we've done. That's how we done it. It's just, I mean, the wrestlers, the announcers, the commentators, the referees, the creative, it's all just been so dedicated to putting out the best product we could and entertaining the fans to the point that we now have kids. We have people that were brought to our shows as kids are bringing their kids to our shows. And damn it, that's something to be proud of. That's why I want to do this show tonight. It is.
The longevity is longevity. Thank you. I've been doing this for 25 years, guys. Actually 26. Can't you tell? But yeah, it's been amazing, and to see a lot of the core people that are still around, like Brian and Reagan returning. I've been in and out for take a hiatus for a little while and come back, and I will say this to all the guys that were on the crew in the 90s. If you ever just want to come hang out at the show, come and see us, come and visit. But the crowd is so respectful of the people, the pioneers of the AIWF. They understand how old it is, that I will introduce you to the crowd, and I guarantee you they will cheer for you. They will, if they've never even seen you before.
Justin Flash is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Because he had been gone for a long time. And when he first came back this last time, he was literally afraid nobody would care about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they took to him like fish to water.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's just one of the people that I was talking about, that they're so dedicated to entertaining our fans. And like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it, but we put something up on the AIWF Network. If anybody gets a chance to go watch it, it just went up today. It's called the 20th Anniversary Legends Reunion. And that's what got me thinking about this, because in 2012 at the Mount Airy Army, we did the 20th anniversary, and a lot of the legends from the 90s came, and they all got in a room at the Mount Airy Armory, and they sat around and they talked about the old days, talked about, well, I guess you can still call it the old days then, talked about the 90s, they told stories of matches and going to war, West Virginia, and going to, Bradshaw and Martinsville, and they just told these stories, and it was just, I sat and watched it last night till almost midnight while I was doing the editing on it, because we got to take all that, redo all the music now.
Yeah.
And
we got it on the screen now. Yeah, so
I see that. It was just so amazing to see these guys standing there telling these stories. And I'm like, oh my God. It was so entertaining.
Oh, now we're going to some clips here.
Yeah, there's clips involved from matches back in the 90s. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I had to change some of the music, which I hate, but you got to do what you got to do for YouTube.
Yeah.
But and sometimes they'll tell stories about some of the things that went on, but if you get a chance to go watch that, like I said, it's almost 2 hours, but I swear to God, it is so worth it. It's so entertaining.
There's Don, little Don, D Nice.
Yeah.
I see JT Sledge there behind Brian.
Johnny Reb was there. The Intimidator.
Sweet Daddy.
Miles. Sweet Daddy. Don Hopkins, rest in peace. Don Carson, he's no longer with us. Enigma was there. He's no longer with us.
Enigma. I can't remember.
He was with Brian and them for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm just watching this last night just made so many memories come back.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And JT Sledge still comes to the shows every now and then. I see Eddie Wilson there.
Yeah. Pete Powers back there standing behind Don Carson. Pete Powers, the guy that Wahoo McDaniel said was one of the hardest guys to ever punch him.
Wow, that's a compliment right there.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he was stiff. But of course, now Pete Powers, he had a depth perception problem. So he thought, he was punching you in the front of your chest, but in fact, he was punching you in your spine. So
yeah. Well, that's the same thing that's why Stan Hansen was such a wild man and so hard to work with, because he was pretty much legally blind, is what they said. And he would just go out there, man, and go by shadow and feel.
But I mean, David Steele from the War Machines was there.
Yeah.
Butch Steele was there.
Terminator X.
He X. Robbie Stanley back there in the back.
Yeah.
Reagan was there. Brian was there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And that made this video so special, of these guys just sitting and telling stories about, matches that had, and TX talking about how he got to the point where they just almost knew him by name at Stewart Hospital.
All his insurance information, right? Yeah, man, that's something. Let me I'm gonna see if I can pull up some more classic clips, because that's mostly talking. So I want to see.
There's some more clips in there. The chair shot heard around the world.
Oh boy.
The stretcher match there's clips of it in there. There's just some really good stuff and the stories, but I guess
it's all for you on the network. I just wanted to say that real quick. The network YouTube channel is just loaded with new and classic stuff.
Yes.
You know,
And that's, I mean, we've got 30, well, I can't say 32 years of footage. I think the earliest tapes we were able to salvage might have been from 93, 94, 95.
mm-hmm.
But it's at least 30, 20, 29, 30 years worth of video footage from just an amazing run. And we're not even done. I mean, the AIWF in 1992, because it had a little note in the picture that they sent me that we started the AIWF in 1992 to do a fundraiser for a young man in Mount Airy that had I think it was leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a fundraiser for him, and it went so well that we just kept going. And that show in 1992 as a fundraiser has now morphed into what is the 120 something like that, 100 over 100 companies in like 20 or 30 countries.
Yeah, I don't know. You know more about the affiliate program than I do. It's
Well, I can actually try to. I might be able to hit it dead on right here. Yeah, here it is. Well, no, I thought it was. Let me go down a little bit. I know it's hundreds. It's well over 100 companies in multiple countries that now recognize the AIWF as their I guess home promotion, or you know what I'm saying? They're affiliated, they're members of the AIWF.
Yeah.
And what's so amazing about that is the fact that, oh, here it is, 122 promotions in 44 countries.
Isn't that crazy?
I know. It's amazing to me that it's come to that.
Yeah.
And Chris Wyndham.
Yes. Everybody on the panel always perks up when his name comes up. And yes, we miss him, but his legacy is just, I mean, it's incredible. He touched each one of us' lives so much. You know, like I talked about last night when we did the best of 97 video, him keeping me calm, you know, and just, you know, he could be, when you first met him, he was a little standoffish because he asked me, he was like, when you guys told him I was going to do the commentary, he looked at me and he goes, "Do you even know the moves?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I got you." Like that. And he looked at me like, "Yeah, we'll see." And then he heard me start calling that first match and he was fine. I saw him at the board, looking over the board at me, like nodding, like, yes, okay. You know, and we were fine after that, you know, but what an integral part of the AIWF he was.
God, yes.
And
yeah, he helped. It's like I said on that Legends reunion video. Those guys laid the groundwork of what the AIWF is today. And 32 years later, I'd give anything if he could be here to experience with us, because he done so much to help build this thing from the ground up.
looks like he's waiting. I bet he's wrestling Jumping Jimmy. Is why that
Jumping Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy had to go get on the mic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's who it is. Where is this located at? Do you recognize this building just by looking at it?
This is the Westfield.
Westfield? Okay.
Yeah, Westfield Gym out in Westfield, North Carolina. Is a little gym out there that we it's one of our earlier shows, and we run several shows there, and ended up starting to get to where we was drawing real good crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So this one where we dressed across the street in the cafeteria and had a real good time.
But yeah, so I keep trying. I'm just kind of skimming through what's on the network here, looking for classic footage. But yeah, it's incredible for an independent 30-something years, 32 years.
32 years. I mean, and it like I said, it all started because of a fundraiser for a young man with leukemia. And it also started because I just didn't think, when I was approached with it, I just didn't think the other companies that I was affiliated with at the time that I worked for could do it justice. Because I know they'd come in and, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just didn't feel right passing it on to somebody else. So we started AIWF just to do that show.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, now this is Stewart, Virginia, the TVA.
Yeah.
Versus the Ghost Riders, Chris Wyndham and Jackie Anderson.
Yeah. This is great.
And another thing, you know, this company has been so blessed with is wrestlers like, you know, like Don and Jackie and Dave and Chris Wyndham, and just over the years, so many wrestlers, veterans that wanted bowl cut Matt.
Yeah.
That wanted to help and teach young wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the reasons why we never thought that we had to have a name on every show. I mean, just like anybody else, we brought in names occasionally, but we didn't need them. We didn't think we needed them, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
I think this was had to have them to draw people. We were drawing crowds in 4 states, somewhere every weekend.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. And you know, and we're not, and don't let us don't think that it was all that we're looking through this with rose-colored glasses, because I remember going places where we couldn't draw, you know, we couldn't sell pussy.
We could have drawn flies for the shit in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
But we built those towns.
Mm-hmm. Except for Graham. Graham never came around.
Graham never came around, but we tried.
Yeah, we tried.
And
the people that did come were nice, all 4 of them.
But we actually run Graham more than once.
Did we? Okay, I only went there once.
Yeah, we actually run, and there was some decent crowds there. We never, but you know, in that area there was another company that run down there at the time, and their fans were very loyal to them. You know, you said so. But yeah, I mean, we run places. It's like Wilkesboro. I remember running Wilkesboro, and there was 6 people in the crowd. I also remember running Wilkesboro, and there was 200 in the crowd.
I know. I remember that. I was at one of those shows.
So, you know, we built whatever town we went to for most of the part.
That's what I was telling Jinky. It was so funny about Wilkesboro. You know, I mean, go up there. We did, but we had TV there, right? Our TV stretched to Wilkesboro, didn't it?
I don't know. If it did, I'm not sure.
From Mount Airy.
Mount Airy may have went close.
Yeah.
I don't know what all it covered.
Yeah, because
I'm not really sure. I can't remember.
Wilkesboro was incredible that night we went.
Oh God, yeah.
I couldn't.
Wilkesboro, Mount Airy, Hofftown, Smith Grove,
Elkin for years.
Elkin, God almighty.
Bassett, Stewart,
Jacksonville, Moxville. We did all those. Winston-Salem, Lexington. I mean, you know, we did all help. We run Wallace, North Carolina. We run Beckley, War, Princeton, God almighty, Bradshaw, West Virginia, and then all over Virginia.
Yeah, you guys were running Princeton just up to a few years ago, right?
Yes, and drawing good crowds. Matter of fact, Princeton was one of the last towns that we had on our schedule when we was a traveling show, you know?
Yeah. And
I'll just be honest with you, we found a great home in Mount Airy at Veterans Park. Been running that building since '96. On and off, not continuously. We did go to the Army for a while, but we started running that building in '96, and then we're still running it today.
Yeah. When you said, I remember like when you told us that we were going back to Veterans Park, like I was so excited because I was like, that's where I had my first show. You know, that's where I worked my very first show for the AIWF in the Saturday after Christmas, 1996. And so that place had a lot of sentimental value. I mean, I liked going to the Armory. The Armory was nice. But man, when it came to sentimental value, when we got to go back to Veterans Park, I was ecstatic. Oh, no, the TVA looked like they got Jackie Anderson hurt right here. But
But
yeah,
I
this
just thought it would be good for us to just, you know, take a minute, talk about what we've been through, how we've grown, you know,
yeah,
and
and
just kind of celebrate the birthday of the AIWF. I wish I had a cake and some candles.
no kidding. I was thinking, yeah, that would be awesome if we had a cake with some candles and stuff. And let's see here. I wanted to see if I could find some footage of last year's anniversary show, so people won't say that we're just showing stuff from the olden
It's all.
times.
I'm not sure if it's on there or not. If it's made it to it yet. I know it's on the Roku.
Yeah, it's on the
Pretty sure
network.
it's one on the Roku.
There's AIWF 30th anniversary night 2. I'm looking. Just bear with me, guys. but
Now
I
this year, we're already making plans with the new technology we have for filming. We didn't have it last year at the anniversary show, so we're planning on packaging the anniversary show a lot better this year than we have in the past.
good, good. I mean, yeah, the technology we've got now has come a long way. Those new lower thirds and all that stuff that Reagan does, producing and directing, pretty much producing and directing at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it, and that's why, I sometimes I tease her about the sound and the levels and everything, but there's no way in reality anybody could watch all that. That job, she probably needs another person just for sound. So anybody wants to get in the wrestling business and work behind the business, behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure we can find you something to do. Let's see. Yeah, I had found it earlier, but I'm having trouble finding it again. So I do apologize for that.
Well, keep in mind, there's like 600 videos on that network. So.
Yeah, and it's there. Last year's anniversary show, night 1 and night 2. So definitely check it out. All the stuff we're talking about, most of it you can see on the AIWF Network YouTube channel. I understand there is already, I don't know how much we can say, but there is a world title match scheduled to happen at the anniversary show, is my understanding.
The world champion, Greg Anthony, is coming. I think there's going to be. I think they have announced yesterday the world tag titles are coming. And I think they're working now on possibly the world TV title being there. So
Wow.
There's going to be world titles there. And if she's available and still champion, I'm sure our world women's champion and possibly the world shoot fight champion might be there, because there's 2 world titles locally.
Yeah, I would hope they would be there. Let's see. No, still not having any luck. Oh well, but check it out. It's all on YouTube, and I've loved the old Martinsville TV show going up on there too.
I'm actually working on one on the other computer over here now. That's why I keep looking over, because I'm saving over. I'm saving one. The episode 8 will go up tomorrow.
That's awesome. So
or Wednesday, I'm not sure. Yeah, tomorrow. It'll go up tomorrow.
Yep, and it's been a good chunk of my life. I can tell you that. When my father passed away rather young in 1998, the best part of that wake was just about the whole damn roster, from the AIWF behind the scenes people, wrestlers in front of the camera, all showed up to that wake and turned that send off into what it should be for everybody, and that's a celebration. And so I'll never forget that. And there are countless other things that my wrestling brethren have done for me over the years that ain't never going to be mentioned in public, because it's just, between us, and made my life a whole lot better and a whole lot more fun. I can't thank the entire AIWF enough, and I always tell Rick Deezel, hey man, it's your sandbox. I'm glad to play in it. But it's been a huge part of my life. Wrestling has been, I met Superfly Jimmy Snuka because of wrestling. I've talked to Ricky Morton several times and heard him tell some stories that'll never
Crazy
be
stuff.
fit for public airwaves.
But they was talking on the reunion show, Legends reunion show, about the night Jimmy Garvin come through. I think that was, I don't know if you was there then.
No, it
Or
was
just
before
that
my
show.
time, but I've heard that
Yeah, we
story.
rode up on the motorcycle in the pouring rain and jumped off, said, "Who am I wrestling?" I said, "They're in the ring," and he hit the ring. So
Yeah, he had
yes,
trouble
gorgeous
finding
Jimmy
women.
Garvin has been here, and
Yeah.
Buddy Landale, Wahoo McDaniel, Ivan Koloff, the Rock and Roll Express, the Barbarian, Manny Fernandez. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
list goes on and on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and you know, more recently, you know, Abyss, Sandman,
Mhm.
Shane Douglas. I mean, when
Ste-
you're around for 30 plus years, just think about the generations of wrestlers. You know, so there's a lot of companies out here now that only have the chance to use what's out there now.
yeah.
You know, they didn't have the chance to work with, you know, in the ring with Wahoo McDaniel and Ivan Koloff and Buddy Landale and Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich, you know,
Mhm.
and Abdullah and my God, who else has been through here, man? Jimmy Hart. I mean, not Jimmy Hart. Gary Hart. Jimmy
Yeah.
Hart. I need to bring Jimmy Hart.
L-
Gary
l-
Hart. Sir Oliver Humperdinck. They both been here.
Yeah, Sir Oliver Humperdinck actually, and I'll one of these days you're gonna find that footage of
It's
I
got to be
did
here somewhere.
I did commentary with him at Elkin. And the cool thing about that was he came out earlier in the night with somebody. And I guess he saw that we were doing play by play because he walked up to me during intermission and he goes, "Hey, are you doing live commentary?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." Like, and he said, "Do you mind if I join you for the second half of the show?" Like, of course not. You've been to fucking WrestleMania, man. I'll take all the help I can get. Let me get you a chair. And the only thing I said to him before we started, I said, "How should I address you?" He said, "Just call me Sir Oliver." And off we went. And he lent his expertise that night and just helped open my eyes because, you know, I've never, you know, done this for a living, just as a hobby. But when you get to work with somebody that has that mind for the business and all that experience and all those territories, you know, and I didn't even really discover his work in the Mid Atlantic till a few years ago when the WWE Network happened. He was a big part of the Mid Atlantic in the early 80s, you know, and when you have all that wisdom and experience helping you do commentary, you learn so much without even realizing at the time, you know, what's happening. And so
Right.
that was an incredible night. We've seen Lodi come through here several times. Lodi's
Yeah. Who, by the way, is back in the ring
yes, thank goodness.
after his heart attack. Got good for him. He's back at it.
Yeah, he's a good dude too, man. He really tries to help out the young talent. He's still got his school here in Charlotte, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he
It's
does.
at your flex appeal if you're in that area and want to get some good wrestling training.
Yeah, so yeah, and Lodi's a good dude. We've who else has been through here? I'm thinking more recent. Stevie Richards.
Stevie Richards has been here. Yes.
Yep, and he lives in Columbia now. Doesn't he?
I'm not sure where he came from, but I do know that he showed up that day and helped us set up chairs.
Yes, he did. I mean,
God bless him, and then put on a hell of a show that night.
he did, and was nice enough.
Gangrel.
Yeah, Gangrel. I remember him. Yeah, he was a nice guy. Nice fella. Nice fella.
And Luna Vachon, his wife,
Yeah,
China.
yeah,
I mean, you
China.
know what I'm saying? It's just
Luna was great because she did a promo spot. I hope if you can
I'm
run
hoping
across
to
that
find it too.
where she's like, "Yeah, just Luna Vachon. Be sure to watch AIW." I can't even do her voice to make me hurt,
Yeah, I
you know.
know.
But yeah, I don't know how she did that, you know. But yeah, I've seen a lot, man. Oh, David Flair came through. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
We couldn't get him to come back, but because his wife was
Yeah,
having a baby
but
or
it was
something.
worth it all to have Jason Blade asked David Flair if he was running music at night because he was sitting at the table before the show started.
No, that was
Jason
Steve.
Blade looks at Ric Flair's son and says, "Hey man, are you running music tonight?" And he says, "No, but I can if I need me to."
Yeah, I don't give Jason Blade credit for that. That was all Stevie from Myrtle Beach that did that.
Oh, was it? I thought it was Jason Blade.
Oh, I was standing there when it happened, so I know
Ah,
I'm an
see, I was
eyewitness.
informed wrong then. I've been
Yeah,
telling all this time, Jason Blade. Well,
no, it
thank
wasn't
you for
Jason Blade.
straightening me out.
No, because the best part about that was what happened afterwards. Because Stevie was like, "Hey man, are you running music?" And he's like, "No, but David Flair, just like you said, no, but I can if you need me to." So Stevie hands him the cassette tape and is like, "Here, this is mine. You see, it's got my name." He had taken the cassette and written his name on it, or the CD. I can't remember if it was.
They were CDs by then.
Yeah, and he handed it to him. David's like, "Thanks, man." And Stevie walked in the dressing room, and I looked at David Flair because I'd been talking to him for a little while that day, and I was like, "You don't know who you are," like that. And he goes, "I don't get." He's like, "I don't give a shit, man. I'm here. I'll do whatever I need to do to help." Like that. And so I walked back there because I was ribbing back and forth with the Myrtle Beach boys all the time, all the time, and I walked back there to Stevie and he's sitting there, getting his bag unpacked, getting his gear ready and everything. I was like, "Hey man, you know who was out there at the table that you asked to make sure you got your music right?" And he looked up and goes, "No, who was it?" Like that. And I said, "That's David Flair." And I saw the color drain out of his face. He went ghost white. He was like, like that. Ace was like, "Yep, dumbass." But you didn't recognize David because he looked different than when he was on TV.
That and he had darker hair, so he looked more like Ric Flair did in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When Ric Flair had dark hair and his face was more filled out.
Yeah.
He resembled Ric Flair more when he first started his career than he did later on.
Well,
and then there's Reed Flair.
Yeah.
Reed come through and done some shows with us.
Did he? I did not.
Yes.
I must have been away at that time. Yeah. And
Reed
was
the beautiful thing about Reed is what a lot of people didn't realize at the time is that Reed's mom brought him to the shows.
Mm-hmm. Really?
So Ric Flair's son was in the ring and his ex-wife was sitting out back at the picnic table waiting for him to get at the Mount Airy Armory, waiting for his match to be over so she could take him back home.
Wow. And Reed was an outstanding amateur too, right? I mean,
yes, and a great guy. I hate he had the demons, because he was such a great guy, in person.
Yeah. Well, David was cool too.
Yeah, David was really cool.
Yeah. Well, that match was originally scheduled to be Ricky Morton against Beautiful Bobby, but Bobby couldn't make it. But we were able to get Flair as a replacement. I still remember that day. I pulled up to the Armory and you just happened to be outside and you walked up to my car window and said, "Hey man, I got bad news for you." Cause I'd really been looking forward to working on a show with Bobby Eaton. I never got to. And you said Bobby Eaton ain't gonna make it. And I was like, "Damn, oh man." Like it. And you said, "That's okay though. I got a replacement." And I said, "Who?" And you said David Flair. And I went, "Oh, David Flair. That's not fuck." Like, and what I did not know was the big tall man standing right against the wall behind Rick Deezel and just heard every word of this conversation was David Flair. So Stevie,
him and Ricky had a hell of a match.
They did.
And it's been viewed thousands of times on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I've been
on the network.
Yeah, I've been directing people to it for years if they want to hear me do commentary. I always say that's the easiest one to find. And no, and actually after I started talking with David, we hit it off and he was like, "Hey man," he said, "after I get dressed, I'm gonna get you to walk with me out to my truck so I can put my clothes in my truck so won't nobody steal it and steal my shit like that." And I was like, "Oh dude, you don't have to worry about that here. That kind of shit don't go on at this promotion." I said, "You can leave that bag open with money in it and nobody would probably touch it." I said, "Can't guarantee it. If you leave hundreds of dollars in plain view, it's going to tempt them." And he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, you don't have to worry about that kind of shit." And he got so much heat that night from what happened in that match that he walked up to me after. This is how well we hit it off. He's like, "Hey man, after I get dressed, will you walk me out to my truck?" And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "I think they're going to try to stab me." And I was like, "Well, what good am I going to do? I can't fight." like that. And he goes, no, but they like you. And if they see me and you talking in a pleasant manner, maybe it'll cool them off. And so that was the most hair raising thing I think I've done in wrestling since until the near riot when Jack attacked Rose Tyson.
Yeah.
That was the most scared I've ever been. But before that was walking David Flair to his damn truck through that crowd of people because people were hanging around outside the army that night waiting on him. But we got him to his truck and got him out of there safely. So, whew.
There's so many, and like I said on that Legends reunion on the network, it's so many stories that everybody has. I mean, we're just sitting here and just touching on just the ones with the names, just the ones with the names, like Buddy Landale coming and working for us in Mount Airy with a broke arm.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't at that show, but I remember that happening.
His arm was in a cast, and he was still professional enough to show up, and we worked out a way for him to do what he was supposed to do and have his match, and he was so professional about it. And he come and done a talk show with us, I believe.
Yes, he did. He did.
Yeah, so I should run across that at some point, and so we'll get to see the great Buddy Landale.
Yeah,
I never realized. To me, Buddy Landale was just that guy who come through the Mid Atlantic, and him and Ric Flair had the Nature Boy battle.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got to know him and I started following his career, he'd done a lot in a lot of promotions.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He was in Texas. He was in, I guess, Mid-South and Smoky Mountain. And I mean, he traveled and he'd done a lot.
Yeah.
So he told a lot of good stories. Wahoo McDaniel was my first and biggest influence. Mm-hmm. Him and Ivan Koloff, and then there's Ricky Morton, Buddy Landale. I mean, I think that's another thing that has helped this company last for so long, is that I personally had good influences in the beginning.
Yeah, didn't get taken advantage of by too many sleaze bags.
Right. I had a lot of good people that just sat and talked to me, and gave me guidance. And I always like to say they taught me in here more than they did in the ring.
Yeah. Yep. What a crazy journey. It's been 32 years.
32 years. And we're not done.
No,
Somebody asked me one time if I thought I would ever, if I thought anybody, another indie promotion, I think what it was, it's been a long time ago. They said, would you think anybody else on the indies will ever do what the AIWF has done? And I said, not in my lifetime.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because any ones that had a chance of going as long as we have are done. And any that's starting, I'll never live to see them hit 30 years.
Yeah.
So we have done something that may never be matched again by an independent company. And when I say that, it's not just about the 32 years. It's about the, 122 members, 122 members in 40 countries.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who else is going to do that? And we may not, and there may be a lot of companies out there say, well, that ain't nothing, then they may throw shade at us for that. But hey, we still done it.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have an AIWF European champion, AIWF Latin American champion, AIWF Asian champion.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is going to have that?
Nobody.
So we may be lucky enough to be able to do something nobody else will ever do again. And we've all been a part of it,
Yep, absolutely.
And it makes me damn proud, Matt.
Yeah.
Damn proud that were there then and you're here now. And Brian Reagan was there then and are here now. And, and Kevin Stryker was there then and He's
Here now, yeah.
he's kind of here now.
Yeah. I mean, and Bobby Dalton was coming to shows back in '96. If you watch the Spring Jam '96 video, Eddie actually talks to him. And
Yeah.
so Bobby's been around a long time. Let's see. We still get, every now and then JT Sledge will show up. Let's see. I like it when he comes because I can always stick a microphone to this day. I can stick a microphone in front of him and ask him a question about something that's coming up on the card, and he can deliver me an answer that makes sense. I mean, to this day, he has not lost the ability to talk whatsoever.
Well, another thing that's really amazing, Matt, is our Hall of Fame.
Yes, yes, it is.
Our Hall of Fame started in 2005. I think that was the first year. Chris Wyndham was the first one to win. I think it was 2005.
Yeah,
Which means we're 1 year away from 20 years of our Hall of Fame. Just our Hall of Fame. And it's got some of the biggest names in the history of the business in it. So our Hall of Fame has outlasted most independent wrestling companies.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
If I'm getting on anybody's nerves out there, if I'm pissing anybody off but bragging, damn it, I have a right to brag. Matt has a right to brag.
Yeah.
Brian and Reagan has a right to brag. The people whose works on our shows today has a right to brag because the legacy that they're continuing is amazing because there's a lot of guys working in an AIWF ring that wasn't born when the AIWF started.
Exactly. I'd say the majority of the roster right now, that's the case, and glad that everyone that they can come into the AIWF Mid Atlantic as an entry level independent promotion and cut their teeth and then go out to the bigger indies and get more experience. And maybe, just maybe, if you're elite level athlete enough, you might be in a full-time paying gig one day with AEW or WWE. Doesn't happen for the majority of people. But then again, there are people who understand and figure out by their mid-20s or their late 20s that, well, maybe I ain't got what it takes to cut it in the WWE. But that don't mean you don't have a place in the indies for as long as you want to wrestle. I mean, so I like that fact too, that there's some people that are perfectly happy with their station in life. Look at Justin Flash. It took a few years, but we talked him into coming back. Just had to get it put down his softball glove for a little while.
Wahoo McDaniel told me a long time ago. He said there's so few people in the wrestling business that truly want to teach somebody something. He said, you need to always be that person. He said, you need to take this company and always use it to teach people the right way to do this business. And that just stuck with me. And that's something we've always done. You can ask a lot of the guys that come through here. We take the time to work with them. We take the time to teach them old school ways and teach them to have pride in their business. And there's a goddamn wrestling school on every corner now.
Yeah.
But none of them teaches the old school. I don't care who they are. Nobody teaches old school anymore. And if there is one, there might be one out of 1,000.
Yeah.
And you could tell, and I'm not throwing off on nobody when I say this, but you could tell when a guy comes here that's been training somewhere else, you can tell how they're being trained just by watching them. Mm-hmm. You can tell what they know, what they don't know, what is instilled in them, what morals, what professionalism. You can tell when you've been around as long as we have. You can just I can look at somebody how they walk in the dressing room and say, okay, he knows this, but he don't know this.
Really? Yeah. My eye's not as keen as that. I generally wait till I see what they can do between the ropes, but
well, I look at other things. There's a lot of wrestling. I mean, any wrestling school can teach you the basics. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And there's some of them that can teach you a lot more than just the basics. There's a lot of wrestling schools that teach you in the ring, but they don't teach you in your head. Right. And I see it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just the way they teach. you know, but you can't teach it if it wasn't taught to you. And a lot of the trainers nowadays are so young, they never experienced, they never experienced the business when it was secretive, when it was a society, a secret society, and everything had to be done a certain way. They was so you can't teach kayfabe if you wasn't around when kayfabe was real.
Right.
So, and that's just things that I feel like guys who come here that are they're freaking outstanding in the ring, but there's just some mind work, old school mind work that would really give them a lot of perspective on this business the way it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we try to help them with that. Now, if I piss off somebody's trainer because I said that, I don't know what to tell you.
It is what it is.
I was told a long time ago, pass it on. And I will continue to pass it on. And I will continue to teach anybody who wants to listen to me. So, you don't want me teaching them nothing, don't let them come here. I got they come here, they're going to learn. But anyway.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to the AIWF, Matt Carter.
Yeah. Happy birthday to AIWF, Rick Deezel, and to all you wrestling fans out there, anybody that's ever been through here, thank you for your contributions.
Yes.
And come back anytime. We're always glad to see people. Like I said before, Buford Beaumont has not wrestled for us since the 90s. And he showed up and just to visit and come and watch the show, sat out at the crowd. I introduced him to the crowd and he got a resounding ovation when I introduced him. Not because anybody knew him, but because they respected him because he had been here since the beginning, in the beginning.
Yeah, he was here. He was here.
Yeah.
And our fans will give you respect for just being a part of this company.
Yeah. If I say to the crowd, especially our regulars, the ones that sit ringside, Vicky Richmond and that crowd, if I would say, hey, we got a special guest tonight from somebody who worked here in the 90s or in the early 2000s or 10 years ago, they were here, their eyes get big and they're, right into it. Hell, The last time TR Superstar visited us, the place cheered louder for him than they did anybody that night. It was incredible. And they used to hate him when he was active.
But they respect him because he gave them everything they needed from that wrestling ticket.
Oh, God, yes. I remember TR was a big part of the reason that him and Kevin Phoenix's feud was. So one of the reasons I started asking Jinky if I could come back to wrestling because I wanted to cover that. That was awesome. And I've said it to Kevin Phoenix in private before, but I'll say it in public. Those two guys, like I wanted to be behind the microphone to cover that shit because it was that good. And that night that Kevin Phoenix finally beat him in the Armory, when that 3 count happened and that bell rang, I remember a woman in the front row going, oh, thank God. I could see her. She was thanking God for that. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible.
And I remember seeing a picture from that show. And when Rob McBride and Kevin Phoenix touched hands through the cage, there was a woman, there was somebody, I can't remember, it was on the front row that had tears running down her eyes.
Oh my God. Incredible. Yeah, so it's definitely been one hell of a ride, that's for sure.
Yep. And thank God it ain't over.
No, it's not. And
matter of fact, it's gonna start back up again in about 2 months, 6 weeks.
Crazy. And and I think I'm sitting here thinking, what do I always say? What you ask me what my favorite wrestling match is? The next one. And so and so definitely looking forward to it. I think I'll second what Brian was saying last night, that you take this time off, it really lights a fire in you again, and you want to get back to it. So
and I want to do another one of these little specials when you get Brian and Reagan. We'll plan it a little better so Brian and Reagan can be here.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to do another one before our season premiere. Yeah. just so we can update everybody on that, because we're doing things a little different this year. We're going to try to run it more like a TV show. You know what I'm saying? With big specials as our big shows.
Well, if that rumor turns out to be true about that new person from the University of Tennessee possibly joining the broadcast team, I am going to be thrilled by that, because I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to jinx it, but I've heard the rumor, and I will say this. She melted my heart one night by setting a white balance on her camera, because anybody that knows that knows enough about photography and television that they can help us out. So yeah. And if you don't know,
like I said, we're in the early planning stages of some interesting stuff for the Mid Atlantic this year. Gonna do things a little differently, and we're gonna try to make it yet even more entertaining. So hang in there, folks. We'll do another special about that. This one's more about the happy birthday AIWF, but before the season premiere in March.
Well, WWE did a like what's coming in 2024 on Peacock last week. And while it was not riveting television by any stretch of the imagination, because it was just a bunch of interviews over Zoom, it was good. And I watched the whole hour. So yeah, maybe we need to plan on doing that, what's coming in 2024. So
keep it in mind, our season finale last year, what happened with the Mid Atlantic title. We'll cover all that in our special as it gets a little closer, because we got to go back and recap some for the season finale of season 31, so we can update everybody on what should be coming in season 32.
Yep, and
must see TV, baby.
Yep, and I will tell you at that point where I think Jada Stone made a critical mistake in her open challenge that caused her to lose that title. But you're gonna have to wait for that program to hear that brilliant analysis. But all right, well, Rick Deezel, happy birthday to the AIWF.
Happy birthday, AIWF.
32 years old, so just getting into its prime now. The 30s probably before everything starts going downhill while you're in your 30s.
What's funny is, let's see, I was 30 years old when the AIWF started.
Yeah.
I was 30 years old. So the AIWF is older now than I was when it started.
That is insane.
Anyway, thanks for being on here with us and doing this tonight, man. It was awesome.
Absolutely. So thanks, wrestling fans. Look, we'll be back with Ringside Wrestling on Sunday night, as far as I know, unless something changes, live on Facebook on Sunday night and later on YouTube. So thank you for joining us. Check out the AIWF Network. All these great moments we're talking about, a lot of them are archived there. And I would strongly recommend something I'm looking at now, quite interesting. 2013, Rick Deezel's birthday bash. Something that and it came from the Armory in Mount Airy. And boy, there was a big crowd in there that night, man.
God, yes.
It's incredible. So but check that out, and check out all the other stuff on the network, especially what we were talking about, that new video with the reunion from back in 2012.
And Matt, what I understand, you're gonna have some time sitting around to watch it.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to have a little time to sit around and watch it on the big TV. So,
all right, man.
All right. So, wrestling fans, that'll do it for this time. We'll see you on AIWF Ringside Wrestling. And until next time, so long for now.